Hi YouTube, hi UBs, welcome back. I'm BB and I am going to delve into one of my little love and passionate games, Killing Floor, specifically Killing Floor 3. And this comment, I'm going to put it on the screen here, editing BB, sort this out, it's actually quite funny. We're going to talk about everything I think needs to change from the beta, which I did play by the way, and my footage will be playing throughout. We're going to talk about things that me and the community think that needs to change, and I think it would make a way better Killing Floor game. It would actually just be a new game, because what they brought us was not Killing Floor. Also, I just want to say thank you so much everyone who supported my last YouTube video, and I appreciate that I found a sort of an audience which is from a game that I am passionate for and have loved for years. It would really mean a lot if you would consider subscribing, but you don't have to, but it would be very appreciated. Let's start off with the hero lock. Now, I think this is probably the biggest negative point to the beta. All of the characters are locked to a class or a perk. I don't know. I still get confused to this day. Perks, classes, specialists. You know what I'm talking about. I play a medic. I've always played a female medic, and I like the outfits that I can get in Killing Floor 2. And again, this isn't a big, oh, I want Killing Floor 2, blah, 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 blah. But one of the biggest defining features is it was a game where you didn't have to be a specific character or hero and be locked into a class like a lot of generic shooters are nowadays. It was the freedom and the diversity as well as being inclusive. So, but having that locked, but then also I said it in my first impressions video, also stereotyping certain people into those roles. Like a ninja has to be someone who looks Japanese. Again, I could be getting where they're from wrong. I haven't looked into it, but you know what I'm trying to say. It does look a bit stereotypical. A sharpshooter and like has something wrong with her eye. Point being, it's very stereotypical, it's very generic and a bit boring, and the whole locked thing just needs to go. If they change that, I think it would probably eliminate a good 20-30% of the negative backlash that the Killing Floor has had. And look, I know some people are going to complain and they're going to be, you know, arse-licking the franchise no matter what they put out, but when you do play a video game for such a long time, especially for those who work hard and their playtime is harder, right? They want to resonate with characters that they're going to be spending a lot of time with, so you can't blame them when they want to play a character that they feel they could see themselves as, or enjoy their voice lines and quips and banter with other characters in the game. Like, I've always felt I was the Australian Ray, like, from Killing Floor 2, just a UK version. Just as I know some people enjoy DJ Scully or Foster, or the other character that I sometimes play as is the Priest, because he's hilarious. You should give freedom in diversity. It helps players feel more connected to your game. I know it sounds strange, but long-term players can understand what I'm saying there, and it's one of the reasons why a lot of people don't like that the heroes are locked. The hub area itself is quite large, and a lot of the rooms and places do feel a bit redundant. For anyone playing on a sort of mid to low end PC that still wants to enjoy the game, with all of this, it's going to take a lot to, you know, load up on the system. It could be a bit draining, with the one redeeming factor that they might turn the lights off in the range when you're not in the shooting range. But a lot of it just seems like a waste of space, a bit disorganized and messy. You go up to an object and it brings you to the menu screen, and you'll be in and out of the menu screens a few times without really meaning to before you even get into a mission. It's just messy. I don't think it's necessary. If you're in a hub, I think it should purely be for practice range, for sorting out your gun and your costumes, similar to how we had it in Killing Floor 2, but we just had pretty much a singular screen. But yeah, I feel like it's just messy with all the menus. It's not good. It feels just not up to scratch or what we should be expecting from a decent shooter game in this day and age. When you finally get to the actual screen where you need to ready up to load the mission, you've already gone on the plane, you've already been in the menu 3 or 4 times. Now you're on a screen where you're looking at your character. You don't see your crewmates behind you like you did in Killing Floor 2. It's just you staring at your character in your loadout again, which you already did and sorted out in the hub. It's hard to know that you've readied up because your highlighting tool is on different things and there's no actual set button, at least that I couldn't find, to ready up, and it was quite difficult to navigate that. So if they actually had a dedicated ready up button, similar to what they had in KF2, that would be great. And I do try and play keyboard and mouse to make it a bit more even for my opinions, but just make it easier, make it a bit more, it stands out, and make a certain noise for that. It just felt like it was missing and lacking, and it just didn't feel intuitive or informative enough. So that needs to be made a lot more easier and accessible. The supply pass and store, I mean, there's so much I can say about this, but every single game, that shooter that's come out recently, or just in general for the last how many years, they've all come out with ways that they can make microtransactions and take more money continuously from players. And in Killing Floor, that only worked with the cosmetics and the Steam Marketplace, and it worked pretty well. They weren't like demanding extra pennies out of us. You know, the content we did get in later patches and then sort of free community patches, like, that was all great. But now they want continuous time put into the game. We have to do dailies, got to do weeklies, you got to get that XP, baby, you got to get that supply pass done, you've got to get all the cosmetics, you've then got to go into the store and buy the store items. And again, I couldn't see anywhere that linked up with the Steam Marketplace, so I don't know how that's going to work out. There's going to be a lot of FOMO, and also you're reaching an audience nowadays where a lot of younger people are going to probably want to play a new shooter, so that's not great. And not everyone has, I think what someone mentioned in the comment section, no one has that Fortnite money, no one is using their mum's credit card. Your player base mostly consists of hardworking individuals or long-term dedicated vet players. We're not going to sink thousands of pounds into this. You know, we've all got lives, and even if someone did have plenty of money to spare, for cosmetics, is it really worth it just so you can have that FOMO? Like, if you were bringing out actual content and DLC, not just cosmetics, like things that change the game, like new maps and just stuff like that, and like freed updates, people probably would invest in that. But they're not going to invest in really rubbish cosmetics, and also ones that are literally from Killing Floor 2. Like in the battle pass that we saw, the original Horzine outfit was there listed in the battle pass. It's just quite shocking, and I get it, it makes money, but it shouldn't be as expensive if they are going to keep a pass in there. And it should just be made a way more reasonable price, and with all the currency going on, and as well as all the stuff you've got to grind for, which I will talk about, it just seems like it's far too much. They need to change it, maybe make the pass, I know it does have a free section on it, but again, it's just too grindy, it feels too monetized, and that's what Killing Floor is not really about. I'd also like to add, there isn't any confirm screen when you're purchasing something from the store. It's literally a split second of a hold down of a button and you've purchased it. There's no confirmation, and it doesn't look like you can get a refund. So be very careful when purchasing stuff from the store, or if you've mistapped, I would literally keep your controller or mouse just away from any sort of button that says buy or obtain, because like I said, there's no confirmation and it is very, very quick to purchase items. I'm actually pretty sure in Fortnite this was a problem when this sort of stuff come about, and Fortnite ended getting into millions and millions of dollars, like in court cases, because parents were like saying, oh, my child didn't know they bought this and there was no refund and blah blah blah. So they got to be careful, Tripwire, because like that can get you into some legal trouble and end up costing you the studio like in the long run. So just, I would work on that. The accessibility options were very lacking, and I don't understand why. When I was testing it, there was literally 4 different options to choose from, and all it did was change the color from pinkyish light tone to really dark red tone with darker green tone, or orange. It was so misty and like hazy, but there was no actual proper accessibility options other than here is really 4 maximized out standard colorblind options. But the actual accessibility, there was literally nothing there. And again, you want to reach a wider audience and be diverse and inclusive and yada yada yada. Well, you also need to make sure that your accessibility is right out there. So having literally like 3 or 4 buttons to play with just to help for accessibility is not really acceptable in this day and age. I mean, Marvel Rivals has a way more customizable accessibility area, so take a leaf out of their book or research more into what you could do to provide to have more accessible ways that other players can enjoy the Killing Floor franchise, because there is a lot that they can do. The gunplay, I want to talk about this because I found it way different than in Killing Floor 2 and Killing Floor 1. Once I discovered kind of like what the whole upgrade system was about and the loadout options and stuff, again, we're talking like Call of Duty style here, and it does not feel good for a Killing Floor game. It's just too grindy to actually find pieces to upgrade that then actually get maxed out. It's not like you can have an infinite amount of these parts and pieces that you need to find and collect in every single map whilst you're trying to take on the Z hordes and look after your teammates and, you know, succeed the missions and whatever. You've also got to go and find rubbish junk around the place, and it just seems a bit... I'm not there for that, you know. If I wanted to go and play an MMO or a dungeon crawler, I would, but here I just want to shoot some Zeds and hear some funny voice lines and succeed with my team, and, you know, that's just what Killing Floor is and should be. It's just too grindy to get all the upgrades that you need. I get it, it makes the guns more customizable, but we've also got a really like expanded skill tree now, so I feel like, I mean, that's one of the good things I like about this game is the skill tree. So that should be used, especially because they're locked to the actual classes. Again, they shouldn't be locked to heroes, they should be locked to a class, but that makes sense to use that as an option and have less things that are too all over the place and for something to customize a simple gun with. The guns feel like they don't do any damage, and I get it, it's early on, you've got to play before your gun feels any decent, but then again, that shouldn't be the case. Like, maybe some minor adjustments, but not to the point where you've got like a level 0 weapon and then you've got to get it to like 99 for it to even be like any sort efficient. If you're playing normal mode and you're up against the Impalers, which I've started to call the Rhinos because they look like gorillas and rhinos, and I think that's really cute. Again, great Z design, but if you're going up against them, they are bullet sponges. You're going to need like so much stuff and like really good damage output players, and not whatever I'm running around with as a healer, that's for sure. I'm not there to deal loads of damage, but if I end up being one of the last bloody survivors, the guns need to feel like they're actually doing damage. And again, it can be a plus and a minus. Yes, they've got customized options, but it's too grindy to get those things, and some attachments don't really make sense. Some of the guns sound really nice, like they sound like they're doing some damage, but then some of them sound like it's an airsoft toy. I don't think the rarities make sense because, again, some people might prefer the lower tier guns when they've customized them, but for me personally, I think that the whole gunplay needs to sort of change a bit and feel less grindy and COD and feel back to a bit more Killing Floor. Make it feel like Killing Floor 2 2.0, not, oh, here's this generic shooter with tropes of Killing Floor that you may love and remember. I just don't get it. Make the guns feel good, especially when the gun has taken up most of my vision on screen, no matter which gun I've got. Not all the guns look great either. They just look really boring and generic, and the whole game is based in the future, like, so they can get away with not like using modern day gun brands, but the whole point is they're supposed to look like Killing Floor guns, and I feel like some of them, or most of them, don't. And like I said, they're ugly, you're looking at them most of the time, they might get covered in blood. Other than that, I think the gunplay just needs to change. I can't really say too much else. Character gameplay and movement. This was another thing I was reading about in the comments. The characters feel very clunky. I was playing a medic, and whether or not it mattered that I might be an overpowered character because I provide healing and I can heal, in this game it doesn't feel like that. And switching to Foster, I noticed I felt the same heaviness. My characters aren't swift. They didn't feel like Killing Floor 2 characters. I'm not here to play a COD campaign. I don't like the movement of the characters. All of them feel heavy, clunky. I've got to switch my controls up because I don't want to break my controller when I'm playing, because I have to have running permanently turned on, which again is something where I'm not in control of the movement. And I love fluidity of movement, but I also love freedom of movement in video games, and I don't like it when it's rigid, structured, and locked into a certain animation or a certain speed. It just aggravates me. The jumping is weird, and I couldn't think of the word in my previous video, but it's the mantle animation, and I don't actually know where I can jump and mantle in the game. In Killing Floor, it was just you had a freedom of jump. So when you jumped, the animation was built into that jump whilst you're jumping, and you could jump wherever you could. And if it was a place that looked climbable, they usually made it obvious with like a broken banister or, you know, blood in a certain way or debris in certain areas so you couldn't go. There's no yellow tape, you know, all that rubbish. But in this game, it's like, this ledge doesn't look climbable, but all of a sudden you can mantle over it. But then something that looks like the same height on the other side of the bloody warehouse, you can't climb up it and there's no mantle animation. So it's like, but the mantle animation slows you down. It's like an extra second. But a lot of other people have said that they felt heavy, slow. The movement feels very similar to Apex with the sliding, which I didn't even know you could do in the beta. It wasn't explained to me. The zip lines, again, it adds to movement, but when you're on it, you're locked onto the zip line. You can't jump off it, similar to what you could in Fortnite. You cannot jump off it. You have to stay on the zip line till you get to the other end. Now, I'm not saying I want to jump on and off of it like Fortnite. I want to jump off it wherever I want to jump off it. If I see a horde at the other end of the zip line, or my friends just got downed and there's 2 impalers and a bunch of clots and whatever at the other end of the zip line, and I'm already traversing down, I don't want that to happen. But I wish I could jump off, but you cannot. And sometimes the zip lines are put in places where it's meant to be a shortcut. If you did fall off, you'd probably fall off the map. So again, don't understand the placements of these zip lines. They go on cooldown the minute you've been on it as well. You can't traverse back the other way. You can't jump off on what you want. So again, I actually think that limits movement. We need to have our players feeling like they're fast, they're quick, they're efficient, no matter what character they're playing or what equipment they're carrying. This needs to feel like Killing Floor. This is the next militia, okay? We're not a random bandwagon of jolly old chaps from all over. This is meant to be a more organised military militia, and I'm just like, I don't feel like it. If we can improve the movement and make them feel fluid and fast and like not superhuman, but again, they must be, because if anyone took a bloody punch real life from a flesh pounder, they'd be dead. Somehow we survived getting acid spit on us. Somehow we survived getting bitten at our ankles by the bloody spider things, and I know you don't like them because I hate them as well. Make the speed better, make the gravity better, because it does feel like when you jump there's like an extra 20% gravity, and it makes no sense. Improve that. We feel a little bit better, a little bit faster. Killing Floor is supposed to be a running gun. It's not supposed to be a Call of Duty campaign where you move slowly. The sound design and the noises / music, it's not the best, it's not great. It's just noisy and clanky, and it feels like a washing machine of metal and spoons and forks and scraking. I couldn't differentiate a scrake to a flesh pounder or a siren when they're all in the same vicinity. There's no audio cues. The noises just feel like there's no differentiation, and I don't like that. It needs to feel distinct, and noises need to sound better, and the balance of things. I know we've got a volume control, but I can't hear things when there's too much like metal clanking, and it doesn't feel like Killing Floor noises either. It just feels like junk, like noise, white noise, but different. I can't explain it very well, but I think many players would understand what I'm saying here. So there's no good banter with the voice acting going on, and sometimes I can't hear it because, again, with the other washing machine noises of metal clanking, there's something about it. It just seems a bit bland, and I think the only person that I've enjoyed talking is Foster, because he says things like dickhead and Arrivederci, which is very similar to his Killing Floor 2 attitude, but there's just something about it. It just doesn't feel like it's got the love and the oomph and the passion behind these voice lines. A lot of it just doesn't feel cool or like in the moment, and do you know what I think a lot of it is these people don't belong with each other. They don't really banter off one another because they're so generic and so woke and ticking boxes. These characters don't actually vibe well together. They're meant to be this like hard-knit militia. The Nightfall, right, sounds freaking epic. Like, I want to be part of Nightfall, but then again, why couldn't we have had some other characters come from Killing Floor 2 to join into this merry bandwagon, not just Foster because he's the poster boy, even though I think DJ Scully and Ray should be like poster boy and girl, husband and wife. I don't know, I like them together, okay? But yeah, I'm just like, they don't sound good. It's not harmonious with the actual game noise as well as the music, and I do like having the music turned up a fair bit in this game. Not massively loud, but loud enough with the trader voice and like the characters, the banter, with low SFX with like the guns and stuff, because that can get very, very loud. But there's just something about this. It just feels so washed out, dreary, noisy. And I think what adds a lot as well is some of the music, because it's like a sort of neon dark synth metal, it actually sounds very similar to the mechanical noises that you're hearing in the game, and just the noises in general. The red wash of the game, or grey wash as well. And again, no matter what blind setting you put it on to help with the colour schemes, because you're mostly in like these factory buildings and like military bases or what have you, there is just something ugly about these walls, the grey tones, and then the red lighting in places, and there's no other decent light source to counter out. So in some areas you are literally just looking at red glow and like no other lighting that would counteract or make it the scene, because you can still make a really lovely red glowing scene, but you've got to remember some of the Zeds look red as well. They've got red glows on them and all that lot. Don't get me started, we're talking about Zed time soon, but there's just something about the lighting in the game and the color scheme. And again, no matter what colorblind setting you put it on, it just does look dreary, washed out. There's a red wash and a grey wash over the game, and it just looks so ugly and boring. The Trader. I know people may or may not like the Trader, but I actually quite enjoyed her in Killing Floor 2. The Russian or Czech or whatever accent she had.
Hi, Editing B here. I know the Trader is French. I was very tired when I was recording this video. I'm inserting it here. I know she's French, okay, but her accent, we can all agree, different. We love her.
It might have sounded a bit off and jarring, but it was so good. And I don't know, was she talking in French? I can't even remember now, but there's just something about it. It was just so hypnotic, so alluring, and just so nice and comforting. And it is something you think of when you think of Killing Floor 2, the Trader. She's vital and important. This Trader, I do not like at all. I cannot stand the voice, actually. The Trader shop screen, it's diabolical. My mouse kept moving on to different things when I've clicked on a certain thing. When you're trying to purchase things like guns, you've got 3 different choices. There's like the standard one, then you've got, I think, your loadout one, then you've got one that's sort of randomized and a bit of a higher tier, so you can play around with it. So you've got 3 of the same gun in the store at different tiers with different unlockables, and the different prices, and it just feels so confusing with the original Gunplay that I was talking about, and the like loadouts and the customization rubbish. What is the point where you can just buy it in the store? So that it kind of really makes it redundant to even bother with the loadout and customization. But it's just really bad design. Doesn't feel like the original Killing Floor. The UI is ugly and bland and generic. There's no personality. There's no Killing Floor love and soul in it. But the Trader has to be so important, because you are seeing that screen a lot, because you're playing these matches and you want to get to the Trader. You want to hear her sweet voice, and I think her accent just made it so great. And the voice line she said to some of the characters, and how she almost had a bit of love for some of them, and the way that she sort of made sure that you knew that you were the most valuable player, or like you did the most healing. And there's just something about this new Trader, and like she shouts out things like "Scrake on the radar" or something, and it's like, I don't want to hear you say it. I want to hear the Z noise entrance. I want to hear the crescendo and the orchestral chiming in and the mechanical noises and the thumping. I don't want to hear some like just yappy little, I can't describe it. Her voice is so at the back of the mouth, and it's like I don't like that. It just doesn't sound good with all the washing machine and like mechanical clanky scraky noises this game already has. That doesn't feel like Killing Floor. Like it does, it just, her voice just, it's jarring, and I don't like that. You really do need to have a great voice actor if it's someone that you're going to be hearing a lot in the game, and that's going to be like a main point at some point times. I don't like it. I don't like her comms. Don't like the way she talks. I just yeah, scrap her, get someone else. The Zeds and Z time. And I'm going to start with the general Zeds. There's no sound cue for them. I mentioned this in like the sound design and stuff like that, but there's no, like, I don't hear them come onto the scene other than I've got the annoying Trader with her sort of drowning out voice telling me there's a Scrake on the radar. Again, I was too busy healing, and I didn't realize a Scrake was inside my ass. Turned around, it was there. I didn't feel threatened. Usually people should fear Scrakes and Flesh Pounders, but they don't feel fearful. They just, you know, there's something about the Zeds. They just don't have good noise and sound design, and I don't fear when they come onto the scene. There's no, I don't know if it's because the SFX volumes aren't adjusted right, or maybe there is actually a proper sound cue for them when they enter the scene, but I don't feel that moment of dread. The Z animation is something I think a lot of players have also noticed when playing the beta. It's not ready. There's like an execute thing now where when a Z is at a critical point, you can melee or have a moment where you can press the execute button and you do some sort of cool animation like a finisher. But this isn't Devil May Cry, or, you know, we don't need style points. I mean, yes, it might seem pretty cool, but it's not anywhere near ready or finished for that to even be a thing in this game, and I don't think it should be like a selling factor or like a main point that every single Zed will get that and you have to execute them all I had was like almost a T-posing clot that was just twisting its head and it just looked like a rag doll, and it had like a 3 frames per second like 4 click animation and it was dead. I was like, I don't even know what I did. Now the last thing I want to talk about, and this is something I am very passionate for with Killing Floor, is Z time. And I actually haven't noticed a lot of people talking in depth about Z time, so this is another thing that I think would be best changed and what I would change, or at least I'm acknowledging this is an issue. So when Z time happens, it goes into this like grey and red filter where all the Zs are like highlighted in red. So that plus any red or any light source pretty much shows up red. Or red lights, and then with the grey backgrounds that a lot of the game has, it's all grey wash and red wash, the Zs are all highlighted in red. This is not Killing Floor. It just feels like I've got wall hacks on Zs, and this is the one thing that I love about Killing Floor. It's the boo. That noise lets me know it's happening, it's on. This is the crucial moment. Are we gonna finally get rid of that Scrake Zed or clot that's grabbed my bloody ass, or the thing on the floor that's nibbling at my ankles, like the heads popping in slow-mo, all the gore coming off, like seeing the eyes up close of the Zeds when they're right in your face and you've just finished them off, and then seeing your crackhead berserker friend running around at 250 speed because he sniffed the good stuff and he's there sloshing away, fisting the flesh pounder and slicing the Scrake whilst looking at you with a smile and a twinkle in his eye. Like, that stuff like that is brilliant. But this Z time, what is it? It is awful. There's no boo. There's none of that Killing Floor in Killing Floor 2 Z time. If anything, just don't even change Z time, like keep it like 2, because that is what Killing Floor is. That is its soul, not an execute button, not some massive new redesigned Zeds that, again, some of them look cool. I like it. Z time is so good. That's what makes it different to other games. I guess you could say it's like Deadeye to like Red Dead Redemption, but it's not. It's something way better and greater, and that is Killing Floor's soul. Z time is Killing Floor's soul. It happens briefly, but it happens throughout, and when you get it, it just does something to me. It does something to a lot of players. You know you're going to get some cool headshots in. You get a slowdown, you get a second to heal, or me, where about 90% of the time I'm probably stuck in reload hoping for that crazy berserker to come and save me, or a grenade to come my way, so whilst I'm reloading in Z time I can just stare and watch all the things die in front of me. But point being, Z time is freaking awful in this game. They need to change it. It's terrible. The red highlighting is awful. I don't know if it's the colours, because again, I don't want to see like all purple highlighted Zeds. I just want it like Killing Floor 2. I don't know how they could have zhuzhed it up. Whatever they've done here, they've literally stabbed the heart of Killing Floor. Z time really put me off playing the beta, and I think it made a lot of other people not like it as well. Listen to the community. We are your core. We are your player base. We are your funding. If you don't please us, you're only going to please temporary, short-term investors. And then once they're bored and gone because this game isn't different and isn't going to take their soul and make them love this franchise, you are left with the angry Killing Floor community that are still playing Killing Floor 2 and probably playing Killing Floor 1 for the heck of it. We're going to be in Killing Floor 2 having a great time, laughing and joking at Killing Floor 3 at this point. So please, let's not do that, because we all want Killing Floor 3 to succeed. I don't think none of us want it to fail, but we want it to succeed, but we want its soul back. I'm not saying Z time is the only thing that's going to put its soul back and it's going to be a playable and downloadable game and everyone's going to want to play it. But if all these things changed, take on what I've said, what the community have said, what people in the comments section, what people on the Reddits, in the Discords, in the social medias, their YouTube videos, TikToks, take heed and listen, because we are the ones that care. I'm making this video because I'm really passionate about Killing Floor, and I've never really spoken up about it before. And yes, I'm a woman, I'm a gamer, but my livelihood is gaming. And Killing Floor, I have put hours, I have sunken thousands of hours in. I know I've played not as much as some people, but the amount of time that I've invested into the lore and watching other people and helping them, and then also playing Killing Floor 1 and 2, I'm so invested and I have such a love and passion for this franchise. It's so, there's so much about it. It's the characters, it's the story, it's the maps, it's the ZEDS, it's the whole heart and soul of this game, and it's the community that keeps a game alive. It's us. Listen to us, give the community what they desire, what they want. Your game is going to thrive and do well. So I hope this falls on the right ears and I find my people. I'm very tired now, by the way. I've been talking for a very long time. I also forgot to say thanks for watching if you've made it this far. So thanks for watching. Subscribe if you want to. I'm not forcing you to, but it greatly helps me out and I appreciate it. And yeah, see you in the next one. Bye.